Hi, I'm Brad Oaster, and today I want to talk about how to go about developing your property and getting good relations with the neighbors. Neighbors have a lot of say. You wouldn't think so because they don't own your land, but they have a lot of say and they can have a lot of pull with the planning department. So having good relationships with your neighbors is key if you're going to rezone your property or if you have to get a conditional use permit or a planned development or anything really that requires a public hearing in front of either the planning department or the city council. So a good thing to do is called a neighborhood meeting. And we try and do these pretty early on in the process. What we do is we invite all the neighbors from our community. Legally, we have to invite everybody within 300 feet of our property line. We typically go out 500 feet. But we bring the neighborhood in, and I like to do it on our turf. So maybe it's in our church where it's our coffee and our donuts or our dessert or whatever it is we're serving. But it's a familiar environment for the staff and for us, and it gives an opportunity for those who might not come to your church to actually come in and see what it's like. The idea behind the neighborhood meeting is to find out several things. We want to find out who would support our project and who might be against it. Let's face it, folks, if you're going to go out and grow your church, the enemy is not going to want you to do that, and will try and disrupt things as much as possible. An example would be my friend Chip Ingram. When Chip was at Santa Cruz Bible Church, he asked me to come out and develop an 85,000 square foot family life building right on their campus there in Santa Cruz. Well, Santa Cruz, just by its own nature, is a difficult place to develop. We did the neighborhood meeting and everything was going fine. Chip talked a little bit about the history of the church and the dreams for the future. I got up and just did some bubble diagram drawings of where this 85,000 square foot family life center might go and what it might look like, and things were going pretty well. I asked if anybody had any concerns as we move forward with this project. One lady was concerned about the fence. Part of the fence had fallen down between the church's property and hers. Another was concerned about carbon monoxide buildup because of the parking lot. We're going to expand the parking lot. One of the bigger issues was traffic. It's back in a residential community, so bringing lots of cars back in and out, that was a concern. But then finally, one guy, his name was Hal, he stood up and he said, he says, my name's Hal and I live right on the other side of that fence. And I've had it with this church. I don't like the lights out here. I don't like the noise. I'm retired. I've got nothing better to do. I'm going to make it my mission in life to make sure that this project never happens. I'm going to be out in my pickup truck. So if you're with me, come on out and let's put together a plan. So he got up and just walked out. And I thought, yes, mission accomplished. We found out exactly what the enemy's going to try to do to mess up our project. And his little ambassador's name is Hal. And not only do we know his name, we know where he lives. So I went and started on the design work, drew up the facility, did a campus master site plan. And I came back several weeks later. We invited all the neighbors to come back because we collected all their concerns the first time. Now we're going to address all the concerns, okay? So they all came back and I put my drawings up. We had overhead slides back then. We didn't have PowerPoint or any of that. So I put the overhead slide up to show the site plan. And I'm talking about how the fence can be fixed. And here's several different design ideas for the fence. We did a study on carbon monoxide buildup in the parking lot and that the water or the air coming in off the ocean is going to take care of that. Not going to be an issue. For traffic, we had several buses and we could park off-site at a shopping center, at a county park and ride, at a high school. And by putting them in buses, putting our members in buses, it would eliminate some of the traffic there on Frederick Street. Then Hal stood up and pointed at my drawing. He said, "What's that?" And he was pointing at a little area that I'd drawn. It just happened to be right up against his fence. But that was our bus maintenance and storage facility. And Hal seemed to be pretty concerned about having a bus maintenance and storage facility backed up against his fence. And so he was asking questions like, how many buses? And I said, well, we could have up to 7, but we need that because of the traffic. And he said, well, what kind of buses are those? And I said, well, they're 65 passenger Bluebird diesels. And you could just see that he was getting more and more upset about this whole bus maintenance and storage yard. Now, the reason I did that is we don't need a bus maintenance and storage yard, and we don't need any buses, but Hal needs something to do. So by having the bus maintenance and storage yard backed right up against his fence, he went ballistic over that. We spent the next month working with Hal to pull the bus maintenance and storage yard 20 feet away from the fence, and then maybe even a little bit more. We ended up 45 feet away from the fence. We had to put in boxed redwood trees. They're big 48-inch box redwood trees, pretty much fully grown redwood trees almost, between our bus maintenance yard and his fence. We went from 7 buses to 6 buses to 5 buses. I think we ended up with 4. And at the end of the day, we went to the planning commission, did the normal routine at the commission, but at a point in a public hearing, people get to stand up and speak for or against your project. Hal went running up there, complaining about the bus maintenance yard. I showed the planning commission that we started out right up against the fence with 7 buses. We pulled it away 20 feet. We pulled it away another. Now we're 45 feet. I've told we went from 7 buses to 4 buses. We've got all these redwood trees and everything. But most of all, and I was addressing the planning commission, I said, we want to be good neighbors. You know, we have the buses in order to lighten up traffic on Frederick Street, but if we have to park the buses somewhere else, honestly, I don't know where we'll put them, but we want to be good neighbors. And so if we have to do away with the bus maintenance yard in order to satisfy Mr. Howell, then I guess that's what we have to do. Well, the city planning commission talked and they said, no, we think you've done enough. Let's vote on this. And we got a 7-0 vote in favor of my 85,000 square foot Family Life Center, which, by the way, never even came up in any of the discussion. All of the discussion was on that bus maintenance and storage yard, which, frankly, we didn't even need. Now, if you happen to have Google Earth, you can pull up Santa Cruz Bible Church, Frederick Street, Santa Cruz, California. You'll see our bus maintenance yard, because 10 years later, turned out we did need a bus maintenance yard. But you have to be able to know who your neighbors are, what are their concerns, address the reasonable ones, and if somebody wants to go to war, bring it on. My name's Brad Oaster. If I can help you, my phone number is 719-439-3019. Thank you.